Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include wrapping up the big news of E3, a giveaway for a Diablo-themed PS4, Xbox One, and laptop, some good news for Path of Exile players with respect to partying up, and more. As always, discussion timestamps will be in the video description. As we're about to get started here, make sure to ring the sub-notification bell to be alerted of new Saturday episodes. Now we've got a lot of news to cover because of E3 this week, so we're gonna go on super fast turbo mode. One cool game revealed at E3 was Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which is basically a feudal Japan Dark Souls, from the makers of Dark Souls. It'll release on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and has a lot of people excited. The Last of Us 2 was revealed with some sick gameplay, some sick footage. So sick, in fact, that people were questioning whether what we're seeing is scripted or genuine gameplay footage. The animations were just so smooth and organic and seamless. It felt so realistic. But I'll drop the link in the video description for you to check that out for yourself, as well as all manner of trailers will be linked in the video description to check out all the footages for all the topics we'll be covering. Halo Infinite was revealed. It'll be an Xbox One and PC exclusive. It'll be a sequel to Halo 5. The game will focus on Master Chief and continue his saga after the events of Halo 5. Doom Eternal was revealed, developed by id Software, published by Bethesda, and this will be a sequel to Doom 2016. Halo Infinite, Doom Eternal, I'm seeing a trend here. Diablo 4 will just be Diablo Unending. Great news for Elder Scrolls fans. Bethesda teased Elder Scrolls 6. It's in pre-production. All they showed us really was just a title card. It's a 30-second teaser trailer, but in it, it looks like that the region we might be exploring in this game is either High Rock or possibly Hammerfall, but we really know nothing. Devil May Cry 5 was announced for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, set to release in spring 2019, and it was confirmed that this is a sequel to Devil May Cry 4, which seems to be ignoring the fifth entry in the series, DMC Devil May Cry. Dying Light 2 was announced for Xbox One, PC, and PS4. We got trailers, and we found out that Chris Avellone is involved. If you're not familiar with the name, he's famous for Fallout 2, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, and more classics, so this is a great name to have attached to a game. It was revealed that a new Star Wars game is in the works, but we didn't get anything. No images, no trailer, nothing other than the title, Jedi Fallen Order. And we know that you get to play as a Jedi, you get to wield a lightsaber, and this takes place between episodes 3 and 4. Developer is Respawn, publisher is EA, since, you know, EA still owns a Star Wars license. Then we had another great reveal by Bethesda. Bethesda was really just killing it this year at E3. They put up a trailer for Skyrim Very Special Edition. The trailer featured the hilarious Keegan-Michael Key, in which he was playing Skyrim on Alexa via voice command, and she'd be basically responding like this were an old school text adventure. And it was a great joke. It was self-aware, as poking fun at how they're re-releasing Skyrim on every platform, but here's the thing, it wasn't a joke, it's a real thing. They actually made this joke a reality. Then Bethesda also revealed Starfield, confirming the old rumors, the old leaks. This is going to be an Elder Scrolls style, a Fallout style RPG, except in a sci-fi setting. We know it'll be next gen, but we're not sure if they meant next gen as in next gen consoles or simply on an advanced engine relative to Bethesda's current engines. But this is definitely something else that has people very excited, because since the heyday of Mass Effect, we haven't really had a really good sci-fi RPG. Then we got to learn more about Death Stranding. Well, I don't know if that's really fair to say. We still have no idea what the hell's going on after seeing more footage of this ridiculous, absurd, in a good way, twisted mind style game. They basically managed to show us more stuff while still keeping us really confused. We know that there are invisible monsters that can only be seen with the help of a robot. We can maybe glean that rebirthing seems to be possible via clone babies, and you somehow carry around your own corpse for some purpose. We know that there are these big bugs that you can eat, and by eating them, you become immune to timefall, the rain that ages you to the point of killing you. We know that if you die in this game by the ghosts, then it causes a giant crater wherever you were killed. In past videos, we've spoken a bit more about this game, and specifically with regards to the dying mechanics, how there's going to be a whole thing where dying doesn't interrupt the flow of the game. Dying is part of the game. By that I mean once you die, you then enter some other realm where you can keep doing stuff before returning to respawn, but it's not erasing your previous progress. There will be a record of your death, so that crater is going to stay there for the rest of the game. We learned that this is going to be a stealth game. There will be guns, you could kill enemies, but this isn't necessarily the best approach, and I believe you can actually play the entire game without killing anything, just as a stealth. Kojima said that the game will be out before the Tokyo Olympics, which will be on June 24th, 2020, so while we don't have an exact release date, we have an approximate idea. But this is all just so insane you have to check it out for yourself. Then apparently, because feudal Japan is a new hip thing, we got a new game revealed, Ghosts of Tsushima. It'll be a PS4 exclusive. It's an RPG action game developed by Sucker Punch Studios. It'll be open world, and it'll be authentic, grounded, realistic. So that's going to be the obvious separation from the Dark Souls Japan. The main character's name is Jin Sakai. The main storyline will be him versus the Mongols, and combat will be a mixture of samurai and ninja techniques. Jin earned the nickname the Ghost of Tsushima. You can ride a horse as a method of transportation, and we learned from some leaked info that the game will have 2 central towns, similar to The Witcher 3, as well as many smaller outposts and villages. There will be 2 major skill trees with many branches. You got the way of the samurai and the way of the ghost. The samurai path focuses on swordplay, archery, and defense, whereas the ghost focuses on stealth, agility, and alchemy. And that takes us to Cyberpunk 2077. We finally got the long-awaited trailer. No release date yet, but it is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And the way they introduced the trailer was similar to how they introduced Sombra back at BlizzCon, where the conference was hacked. It was a great theatrical stunt, really fits the whole cyberpunk theme, and while the trailer didn't actually tell us very much, there is in fact, in one frame towards the end, a hidden message, a very long message that gave us a lot more detail. It's a very personal message from the CD Projekt Red team. Talks about why it took so long to give us more info on Cyberpunk, but I'll quote some select sections here. If you're seeing this, it means you saw the trailer, our vision of Cyberpunk. An alternative version of the future where America is in pieces. Mega corporations control all aspects of civilized life, and gangs rule the rest. And while this world is full of adrenaline, don't let the car chases and guns mislead you. Cyberpunk 2077 is a true single-player, story-driven RPG. You'll be able to create your own character, and, well, you'll get to know the rest from what we show at our booth at E3. They went on to say, on the topic of free DLC and expansions, expect nothing less than you got with The Witcher 3. And as for DRM, Cyberpunk 2077 will be 100% DRM free on PC. On the topic of microtransactions, they said, in a single-player role-playing game, are you nuts? Now that wasn't the only hidden thing in their reveal. There was also some codes that were shown, which if you redeemed them in the Microsoft Store, gave you some Xbox One codes for The Witcher 3 plus its expansions. Now from a variety of sources, we've since gotten more information. Cyberpunk 2077 will be a narrative-driven, open-world RPG. It'll be first-person. The game will include driving, and the driving will also be first person. CD Projekt Red described Cyberpunk as, quote, a mature experience intended for mature audiences. Like The Witcher, you take missions from NPCs and have dialogue options and conversations. The stats you pick at the start when making your character include strength, constitution, intelligence, reflexes, tech, and cool. Cool is a stat, and these are all pulled from the original tabletop RPG. The first edition, called Cyberpunk 2013, came out in 1988, but the most popular version, called Cyberpunk 2020, came out in 1990. We learned that you can engage in combat while driving. While you're fighting, the AI takes control of your car. There's a bullet time effect that allows you to slow down time, I guess similar to Max Payne or The Matrix. Some late game abilities include Mantis-like arm blades, which we've seen in the original teaser, and wall running and using those mantis arms to climb. We know that there will be full frontal nudity, and you can take NPCs home for one-night stands. We know that it'll be an RPG with shooter elements rather than a shooter with RPG elements. There'll be multiple different progression systems. Your character, V, is the protagonist. He's an urban mercenary, or she, I should say, given you can customize your character. It's sort of a Mass Effect Commander Shepard type thing where you can customize the appearance and gender of V but the character of V is the protagonist. The character creation system is fully in-depth. You also get to pick elements of your backstory and everything. You don't pick your class at the beginning. Your class evolves as a reflection of your choices in the game. There's a full day-night cycle. It'll have a story and quest system similar to The Witcher 3, and that story will be personalized by your player choices. Apart from cars, there'll be motorcycles and possibly flying cars. V's personality will be shaped by the player, by both our background choices as well as our conversation wheel choices. While The Witcher was horizontally huge, this game will be vertically huge. We know that the game will not ship with multiplayer, but it's possible that there may be multiplayer coming in the future. Basically, we know that the devs are doing research and development on multiplayer in general. Back in 2016, the Polish government gave the Polish developers, CD Projekt Red, about $7 million for multiplayer research and development. It was specifically for, quote, cross-platform multiplayer gaming software for popular consoles and operating systems. Now, there is some controversy over this game, and that's that the trailer they revealed was not Blade Runner in appearance. It wasn't at night, it wasn't raining, it wasn't that dark noir aesthetic. It presented a view of Cyberpunk that was, one, in the day, two, pretty colorful and vibrant, and this has caused something of a schism in fan reactions. Now, if it's any reassurance, it seems that Mike Pondsmith, the person who first made the Cyberpunk tabletop game, fully endorses this video game adaptation. Now, what's important to remember about Cyberpunk is the whole punk part of it. And I think this trailer does a good job of putting the punk back into Cyberpunk. This sort of glam rock 1980s vibe was very well associated with Cyberpunk. And while Blade Runner did become the most popular view of Cyberpunk in the public eye, it just represents one interpretation of Cyberpunk. It doesn't define what Cyberpunk is or has to be or was historically. But I turn the question to you folks. What are your thoughts on this whole Cyberpunk debate? Do you want that Blade Runner aesthetic, or are you okay with there being these bright colors? The game will have a day-night cycle, so presumably we will get that dark, rainy night aesthetic as well. But what do you think about CD Projekt Red deciding to not show a trailer that shows us that familiar view of Cyberpunk and go with this controversial view? Alright, on to Fallout 76. Coming to PC, Xbox One, and PS4 on November 14th. Bethesda gave us another trailer and told us a lot more about this game, and lots of people seem concerned, to be honest. The leaks were true. This is a online multiplayer survival game. We're gonna see dozens of players per server. I believe it was somewhere in the range of 24 to 32. It's open world survival. There will be mini nukes that you can obtain in the end game, so people can nuke your base. It's not gonna be just nukes flying like crazy. If you're just minding your own business, odds are you're not going to get nuked. But in theory, it could happen. Again, it's something very resource intensive to acquire a nuke. You have to go around on quests collecting launch codes. So I doubt someone's going to go through all of that extent just to grief someone who's minding their own business. That said, overall this choice does seem somewhat bizarre. People that like Bethesda games tend to like single-player, story-driven open-world experiences, and they're generally not PvP type people. So this is basically a Fallout game whose target demographic is not Fallout fans. Now, of course, there is cross-interest. There are people that do like single-player and people that do like these other things, but you're now looking at a cross-section in a Venn diagram. And it seems the people most upset about this are the old-school Fallout fans who have historically played the Fallout games and enjoy them for what they are. There will be no offline mode. Even your solo play will include other players. So when they say you can play this game solo, they mean, well, you can join a public server and play by yourself without teaming up with anyone, but there's still going to be other people around. We learned that there will not be any NPCs apart from robots. If you see other humans, they are other human players. Now, some good news is that there will be private servers, but not at launch. So if you do want to just make a server by yourself or with some friends, you will be able to eventually. It sounds like there will be modding as well, but not at launch, and based on it being always online, odds are that the mods will only be attainable through the Creation Club, so it's not going to be some kind of modding that we've been accustomed to in Bethesda games. It also seems like your base cannot be attacked while you're offline, which is great news. That'll really help with the griefing. The VATS system will be real-time, which is another controversial point. In general, they seem to be tooling around with PvP to limit griefing as much as possible. One thing they're doing is giving wanted levels to players who are overly aggressive, and they're also making the death penalty not very severe. It's as light as respawning to a nearby location. Now, NoClip released a documentary on the making of Fallout 76. It's great, it's informative, we learned a lot new stuff. There's going to be a lot of focus on West Virginian myths. The one that got me the most excited is the Mothman. I first learned about him from the Mothman Prophecies, that movie from a while back that was really great. From there I learned that, oh, he's based on real lore, and the devs were talking about how they want there to be stages to this Mothman, where maybe in the early game he's just a pair of eyes stalking you. Just these creepy eyes in the dark, which again is very in line with the real world mythos. But overall we're going to see far more creatures, monsters than we've typically seen in Fallout games, a much greater variety of them, and they explain this away because the radiation is still very active. There's a lot more radiation now that it's closer in time frame to when the bombs first release. Radiation decays over time, so there's going to be a lot more mutated creatures. We learned that you will have to eat and drink in order to stay alive. We learned that the more rads you get, the more your chance of getting mutated. That's always fun. Some mutations will be good, some will be bad. There will be ways to cure mutations or to permanently anchor one in. Some mutations are visual, but some are more on the gameplay side of things. Nukes will also be part of the endgame in that an area that you nuke, I guess going in line with this whole radiation thing, will effectively become an endgame zone, a raid event kind of. From a nuked area you can get rare drops, there'll be high-level monsters, all that. We learned that Fallout 76 will be a full-priced game with free updates for years to come, and it'll feature cosmetic microtransactions. You will also be able to earn cosmetics via gameplay. As for scale, we're looking at a map that is about 4 times the size of Fallout 4. And you'll notice that the map is a lot more green and lush, kind of unusual for a Fallout game, and it's simply because this area, West Virginia, wasn't hit as bad as other areas by the nukes. Onto some Path of Exile news. A new patch went out this week with performance improvements, some bug fixes, and a bunch more. But the big news for PoE was a blog post on improvements to the party system. They're doing a number of things, but the most important one, in my view, solves what I consider to be a pretty big roadblock in playing this game with friends, which is that if you are not approximately the same level as your friends, you basically can't play together due to the way that XP sharing works. It is only once you reach endgame that you can really play with your friends regardless of your levels. But during the leveling process, it's either you make characters together or you just wait to get to endgame before playing together. Well, no more, because now there will be a system where you can down level your character so that you no longer suffer an XP penalty. So if you have a level 78 character and your friend has a level 10 character, then if you join your friend's game, you can get down leveled to level 10. And the details on how this works, courtesy of the GGG lead programmer, is we are scaling the damage you take and the damage you deal, but all your mechanics will work as they worked when you're high level. We work out a scale factor based on average monster life at the level you would normally play at, and monster life at the level you have been scaled to, and then we apply that to damage just before it is subtracted from the monster. There's a bunch of other details, but basically, if we are doing our job right, then your clear speed in whatever maps you are playing in should be basically the same as your clear speed helping a friend at level 10. On to some Diablo news. Revealed yesterday is that Blizzard is holding a giveaway to give away Diablo 3 themed PS4, Xbox One, and laptop. These look super cool, and if you want a chance to win, follow the link in the description below to enter the giveaway. Now, yesterday also saw the start of a new season in Diablo 3, as well as a ladder reset in Diablo 2. So if you're looking to get back into either of those games, now's a perfect time. On the side of Diablo 3, if you're having trouble picking what class you'd like to go with, check out this video here where we give you the breakdown on which classes have the best starts, and we link you to other videos on all the starter builds, as well as what the best end game pushing builds are for all classes. Now, lastly for Diablo, I just want to call your attention to a forum post started by Olbat. Basically, he raised a discussion on the visual style of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, specifically with regards to items. Diablo 3 items are very stylized, you can call them cartoony, whereas in Diablo 2, they look like very realistic renders. And so the question I turn to you folks is, which style do you prefer, and which style would you like to see in Diablo 4? And a quick update on Diablo job postings. The posting for Senior Software Engineer gameplay for Diablo has disappeared. That's going to wrap up this week's video. As a reminder, leave a comment with your thoughts on any and every story that we've covered. And if you have an idea for a story you'd like to see me cover in a future video, drop a link on the subreddit. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can pledge on Patreon, where your support is immensely appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more gaming content.